The arm came around her shoulders without warning. "You're not safe here," the stranger said, his voice low and urgent. "Act like you belong to me now." Clara Jennings froze. Her pulse hammered against her ribs. She didn't know this man, didn't recognize his face in the dim glow of the gas station lights. Every instinct screamed at her to pull away, to run, to scream. But something in his tone stopped her cold, not threat, but warning. He leaned closer, his breath warm against her ear. "There's a van watching you from the corner. They've been here all night." Her eyes darted left. A dark van sat motionless in the shadows, engine idling, a figure behind the wheel, something glinting in his hand beneath the streetlight. The stranger's grip tightened, not rough, but firm, protective. "Walk with me. Laugh like I just told you a joke. Don't look back." Clara's legs moved before her brain caught up. Her heart roared in her ears. She didn't know if she was walking towards safety or straight into danger. But in that moment, between the silent van and the stranger's steady hand, she made a choice. She trusted him. Have you ever had that gut feeling something was wrong, but couldn't explain why? Drop a comment and tell me your story. Because what happened to Clara that night proves that sometimes intuition is the only thing standing between you and disaster. 12 hours earlier, Clara had kissed her sister goodbye and started the long drive home. It was supposed to be simple. 3 hours on Highway 64, straight through the night, back to her apartment in time to sleep before her morning shift. She'd made this drive a dozen times. Knew every exit, every rest stop, every stretch of road where the cell signal dropped to nothing. But tonight felt different. Maybe it was the darkness pressing against her windshield like something alive. Maybe it was the way the highway stretched endlessly ahead, empty of headlights, empty of witnesses. Or maybe it was exhaustion playing tricks on her mind, making shadows sharper and silence heavier. When her fuel gauge flashed red, Clara cursed under her breath. She'd meant to fill up before leaving her sister's place. Now she was 40 miles from anywhere, watching the needle dip closer to empty with every passing mile. The gas station appeared like a mirage, a single island of light bleeding into the black night. Clara exhaled relief and pulled off the highway, gravel crunching beneath her tires. The fluorescent glow flickered overhead, casting long shadows across cracked pavement. One pump, one building, one clerk visible through smudged windows. No other cars. She stepped out into air that tasted like gasoline and something else, something she couldn't name. The clerk looked up as she approached the door. Their eyes met for half a heartbeat. Then he looked away. Fast, deliberate. Clara's stomach twisted. She'd lived in this world long enough to recognize that look. The way someone sees you and decides, in that instant, to pretend they didn't. The way danger disguises itself as indifference. She paid for the gas without speaking. The clerk barely acknowledged her, his hand shaking slightly as he counted her change. Clara pocketed the bills and walked back outside, her senses sharpening with each step. The pump clicked and whirred as fuel rushed into her tank. She kept her back to the building, eyes scanning the lot. That's when she noticed the van, parked in the far corner, lights off, engine running. Too still, too deliberate. A shadow behind the wheel, watching. Clara's breath caught. She forced herself to keep moving. Replace the nozzle, twist the gas cap, close the fuel door. Act normal. Don't let them know you see them. Her hand trembled as she reached for the car door. That's when she heard the voice that would change everything. "You're not safe here." The words cut through the silence like a blade. Clara spun around, heart lurching into her throat. A man stood 3 feet away, tall, dark jacket, hands visible at his sides. His face was calm, but his eyes were laser-focused. Not on her, on something behind her. "I what?" Clara stammered, her keys digging into her palm. He moved closer, closing the distance in 2 smooth steps. "Act like you belong to me. Right now. Don't argue." Every nerve in Clara's body screamed run. This was how it happened, wasn't it? A stranger approaches, says the right words, gains your trust. And then, but his eyes weren't predatory. They were urgent, protective. And when he glanced past her shoulder toward the van, she saw something in his expression that made her blood run cold. Fear. For her. "There's a van watching you from the corner," he said, his voice dropping to barely above a whisper. "They've been here all night. I've been watching them watch you." Clara's gaze flicked toward the van. The figure in the driver's seat shifted. Something metallic caught the light, sharp, purposeful. Her breathing quickened. The stranger, this man she'd never met, slipped his arm around her shoulders like they'd known each other for years. "We're going to walk to my truck," he said, his tone shifting to something almost casual, almost bored. "You're going to laugh. You're going to act like we're having an argument about where to eat dinner. Can you do that?" Clara's mouth was dry. Her legs felt like water, but she nodded. "Good," he said. Then, louder, his voice carrying across the lot. "I'm telling you, Linda, that place has the worst barbecue in the state. We're not going back there." Clara blinked. Then, somehow, she found her voice. "You just don't appreciate good cooking. I appreciate cooking that doesn't give me food poisoning." They walked, slowly, his hand steady on her back, guiding her toward a dusty pickup truck parked near the edge of the lot. Clara forced herself to laugh, a sound that came out strangled and desperate, but close enough. Behind them, the van's engine revved. The stranger's jaw tightened. "Keep walking. Don't look back." Clara's heart was a war drum. Her vision tunneled. She could hear the van now, the low rumble of tires rolling across gravel. Closer, closer. They reached the truck. He opened a passenger door, his movements calm and deliberate. "Get in." Would you have trusted him, or would you have run? Let me know in the comments. I'm genuinely curious what you would have done, because Clara had about 3 seconds to make a choice that would determine if she lived or died. She got in. The stranger slid into the driver's seat and turned the ignition in one fluid motion. The engine roared to life. He pulled onto the highway without urgency, his hands loose on the wheel, his expression unreadable. Clara stared at him. "Who are you?" "Adam," he said. "Adam Keller." "Why are you helping me?" He glanced in the rearview mirror. His jaw tightened. "Because I saw what was happening and couldn't look away." Clara twisted in her seat, peering through the back window. The van had followed them onto the highway. Headlights steady, maintaining distance. Panic clawed at her throat. "They're following us." "I know." "What do we do?" Adam's eyes stayed on the road. "We drive." "That's it?" "We just—" "They're testing us," Adam said, his voice steady. "Seeing if we panic, if we're together, or if I'm just some guy who happened to walk you to your car. Right now, they're deciding if you're worth the risk." Clara's hands twisted in her lap. "How do you know this?" "I stopped here 3 hours ago," Adam said. "Got coffee. Was about to leave when that van pulled in. Driver didn't get out. Just sat there, watching. Then another car showed up, woman traveling alone. They watched her too. She left before anything happened, but they stayed, waited." He paused. "Then you arrived." Clara's stomach turned. "You stayed because of me?" "I stayed because I've seen this before," Adam said quietly. "Different state, different highway, same setup. Woman went missing. They found her car at a rest stop 2 weeks later." His knuckles whitened on the wheel. "I wasn't there to help her, but I was here for you." The van accelerated, closed the gap between them. Clara's breath hitched. "Adam!" "I see it." His foot pressed the gas. The truck surged forward, engine growling. The speedometer climbed, 60, 70, 80. The van matched their speed. Adam took a sudden exit, tires squealing as they veered onto a narrow back road. Trees closing on both sides, branches clawing at the darkness. The van followed, headlights burning through the night like twin suns. "They're not giving up," Clara whispered, her voice breaking. "Neither am I." Adam killed the headlights. The world plunged into blackness. Clara gasped, gripping the door handle as the truck hurtled forward through the void. Adam drove from memory, from instinct, from some primal understanding of motion and terrain. Behind them, the van hesitated, slowed. Adam took another turn, sharper, faster, then another. The truck bounced over uneven pavement, suspension groaning. Clara's teeth rattled. Her heart felt like it would explode. And then, suddenly, silence. Adam eased off the gas, flicked the headlights back on. The road behind them was empty. Clara twisted around, searching the darkness. Where are they? Gone, Adam said. For now. He pulled onto the shoulder and cut the engine. The night rushing around them. Crickets, wind, the distant hum of the highway. Clara's entire body trembled. She pressed her hands to her face, trying to steady her breathing. You saved my life, she whispered. Adam stared straight ahead, his jaw working. I just did what anyone should have done. If this story is hitting you, hit that like button and subscribe. You won't believe what police found later. Because this wasn't just paranoia. This wasn't just a close call. This was something far worse. They sat in silence for what felt like hours. Clara's heartbeat slowly returned to something resembling normal. Her hand stopped shaking. The adrenaline drained away, leaving behind exhaustion and disbelief. Finally, she spoke. Why were you really there tonight? Adam turned to look at her. His face was tired, shadowed. I told you. I stopped for coffee. No, Clara said. I mean, why did you stay? Why did you wait? Most people would have driven away. Adam was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was distant. 5 years ago, my sister drove home late from work. Someone followed her off the highway. She called me, scared, asking what to do. I told her to keep driving, to stay calm, to find a police station. He paused. She never made it. Clara's breath caught. They found her car 3 days later, Adam continued. Empty. No sign of struggle. Just gone. He exhaled slowly. I spent years wondering if I could have done something different. If I should have told her to stop somewhere public. If I should have driven to meet her. His voice cracked. I couldn't save her. But I could save you. Tears burned Clara's eyes. Adam, I'm so sorry. He shook his head. Don't be. Just promise me something. Anything. Trust your instincts, he said. If something feels wrong, it probably is. Don't second-guess yourself. Don't worry about being rude or paranoid. Your life is worth more than politeness. Clara nodded, unable to speak. Adam started the engine. Come on. I'll follow you to the next town. Make sure you get somewhere safe. They drove in convoy, Adam's truck trailing Clara's car, until they reached a brightly lit truck stop 30 miles up the highway. Clara pulled in, and Adam waited until she was inside, surrounded by people and light and witnesses. When she came back out, he was still there. She walked to his window. Thank you, she said, for everything. Adam nodded. Take care of yourself, Clara. Will I see you again? He smiled, sad and small. Maybe in another life. Then he drove away, taillights disappearing into the night. Clara watched him go, her chest tight with gratitude and grief and something she couldn't name. She called the police from inside the truck stop, gave them everything. The van's description, the gas station location, the license plate numbers she'd managed to memorize during the chase. The dispatcher took her statement, promised to send units to investigate, told her she'd done the right thing. Clara hung up, sat in her car, stared at the empty highway. She didn't know if it was fate, coincidence, or divine intervention, but she knew she was alive because of Adam Keller, and she would never forget him. For days later, Clara's phone rang. Detective Martinez from the state police. He had news. They'd found the van abandoned near the state line, stripped of plates and wiped clean. But forensics tied the VIN to a registered owner, a man with warrants in 3 states. When they dug deeper, the connections emerged like a spiderweb of horror. Multiple abduction attempts across the region, all targeting lone women, all at isolated gas stations late at night, all following the same pattern. Watch, wait, follow. 2 women hadn't escaped. Their families were still searching. Clara listened to the detective's voice, numb and trembling. She'd been a target, not paranoid, not overreacting. A target. If Adam hadn't been there, if he hadn't seen what was happening, if he hadn't intervened, she would have been next. The detective thanked her for reporting it, said her information had been critical, said she was lucky. Lucky. Clara wanted to tell him it wasn't luck. It was a man who chose to stay when he could have left. A man who saw danger and ran toward it instead of away. A man who'd lost someone he loved and refused to let it happen again. She tried to find Adam after that. Searched social media, called local businesses near the gas station, asked around, but it was like he'd never existed. No digital footprint, no forwarding address, just a first name and a memory. Some people even impact and then disappear, like ghosts who only show up when they're needed most. Adam Keller was one of them. To this day, Clara doesn't know why Adam was at that gas station on that specific night, at that exact moment. She doesn't know if it was fate, chance, or something beyond understanding. What she does know is this: heroes don't always announce themselves. They don't wear capes or badges. Sometimes they're just strangers who pay attention when everyone else looks away. Strangers who choose action over apathy. Strangers who risk their own safety to protect someone they've never met. Clara lives differently now. She trusts her instincts. She stays aware. She speaks up when something feels wrong. And when she sees someone who might need help, she doesn't look away. Because she learned something that night on Highway 64. Something the world needs to remember. Evil thrives in silence. But so does courage. Adam Keller saved Clara Jennings' life by refusing to be silent. By refusing to assume someone else would help. By choosing, in that moment, to be the person his sister needed 5 years earlier. One choice. One stranger. One life saved. This story reminds us that heroes don't always wear capes. Sometimes they're just paying attention. If this moved you, please like, share, and subscribe. And tell me, have you ever been helped by a stranger? Or been the stranger who helped? Your story matters. Drop it below. Because in a world that can feel dark and dangerous, sometimes all it takes is one person willing to act. Clara Jennings is alive today because one man chose to act. And that choice changed everything.